Alright guys, so the mask now is ready to be cast, and so for the casting material I'm going to use Smoothcast 65D, and this stuff is a 1:1 mixed ratio, and I think it's clear when you're stirring it, but it cures white, and so I didn't want to have a bright white mask, just in case I scratch it or bump into it or something like that and take off some of the paint, it's not going to be a bright white spot on it. So I got this colorant here, and this is just black. I think it's pretty concentrated too, so you don't have to use a whole lot. But anyways, that gray will look real nice too, because again, if that paint does come off, it's going to be a gray mark instead of a bright white mark. And so you mix that into the part B before you mix that into the part A. And I'm going to do that for the first couple of coats on the inside. I'm going to be using a brush as well for the first coat to help get a little of nooks and crannies just to make sure everything gets covered before I add more layers to it. And then, yeah, it's going to be pretty straightforward. This stuff is pretty toxic again, so you want to make sure you have good ventilation. I have the doors open, I have my fan going, and I'm also going to be using my respirator. And so that will hopefully help keep me a little bit safe. Alright guys, well cool, thank you very much for watching, and let's get this over with. So one thing I kind of wanted to point out now is when I was putting the first coat of the resin in there, I had used a chip brush to help move stuff around. And it actually worked really good to get into some of the smaller areas. But I did a couple more castings afterwards because this one was a failure, and you'll see why in a little bit. But you don't want to use the brush again after you do that first coat, because that's where I made a mistake, is I tried to use it to help push some more stuff around after it was curing. And it helped pull the mold and the mask out of its original shape, and it caused a warp and a deform in it. So just one little tip to watch out for. This is my first try, so it was a mistake, but I learned from it. Alright guys, I think we're ready to demold. It's kind of room temperature now. It's real smooth, a little soft still, but I think it should be okay. I only put 3 coats in there because the first coat was really thick. I really overestimated how much resin I needed to use. So I just added a couple more just to add a little extra strength to it. Probably a little too much on this side over here, but whatever. If nothing else, I'll just make another casting. I have plenty of the resin left. A little bit of that stuff goes a long way, so you don't have to go crazy with it. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take these off. And that's why I did a 2-part mold. That came apart so easy, I love it. Alright, so let's start on this end. It should pop just right out because I use some mold release, and it's also silicone too, so that always helps. It might have a little bit of a vacuum in there, so it won't come out too easy, but oh man, that came out so cool. Damn, I'm happy. Man, that came out looking really cool. I'm super happy with that. Of course, I gotta clean up this little excess here, but that came out way cooler than I thought it would. Seems a little crooked. Well, there you guys go. There you have it. Came out really cool. Alright, so it was kind of hard to see on camera, but there was a good warp inside that mask, and so I decided to make a new one. But with this mask, I made 2 mistakes. I first used too much colorant, and it caused the layers not to stick to each other that well, especially the first layer. The second mistake I made was I used way too much mold release. As you can see here, it's real shiny on the mask. I was concerned that paint wouldn't stick to it, so I went to Reynolds and I talked to the guy there, and he said you really shouldn't be using any kind of like wax-based mold release on anything you want to paint afterwards. Anyway, so I decided to make a new mask, and for this one I just coated the mold with baby powder. I actually used plain cornstarch, and I just moved it around with a brush and then blew the excess out with an air gun, and it worked really well. I painted the other mask too just to see what would happen with the mold release on it, and if you use like a basic spray paint primer after you wash with soap and water, I didn't really notice any kind of difference. It worked fine. So just if you do that, don't worry, it's not the end of the world, but I decided to make another mask so I can show you guys how I painted it. I'll have that video up pretty soon after this one. It's been a crazy week, but I got some free time now. So thanks again for watching, and give me a subscribe or give me a like. Appreciate it.